Build your better breakfast at Subway with the tasty 250 combo, a 16-ounce cup of freshly brewed Seattle's best coffee, and any delicious egg muffin melt. And don't hit the snooze on this deal. Right now, come in before 11 a.m. for a $5 foot-long breakfast sub. Subway, eat fresh. The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. Sunny day here in Southern California, as always, on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. A guy who's from California and now lives in Minnesota. He stars for the rejuvenated 3-9 Timberwolves. Can you be a 3-9 team and be rejuvenated, Kevin Love?
You know, that's tough to say. I know that we're playing definitely a better brand of basketball, but also there was games like opening night against Sacramento where we lost by 1 point, and also a game we just came off of in Charlotte where we were up 8 points with around 2 minutes to go that we kind of, fumbled and, kind of lost the ball there. But, we look at that and say we could be 5-7, possibly 6-6, but, with being such a young team that we are, I think the youngest team in the NBA, there's going to be some growing pains, and, a couple games there, those were definitely growing pains.
So you feel better about this team than last year's team?
Absolutely. Even my first year as well. So the past 2 years, were very tough. For me, my first year, we only accumulated, 24 wins, and,
yeah.
This past season, everybody knows that, we were the second worst team in the league and only had 15 wins. So I definitely feel a lot better about this year's team than years past. And, we have, like I mentioned, a very young group. We just all need to get on the same page and, start being a cohesive unit and get everybody back healthy.
Let's talk about your season, because it's been pretty interesting. It started, you basically got benched in the first game. That led some jerk columnist on the internet to start a Free Kevin Love campaign on Twitter. I don't know why he would do that. Oh, wait, it was me. And then you got more playing time. And then you got more playing time. And then suddenly, 31 points, 31 rebounds on Friday night against the Knicks. Now, you get a little slight asterisk there because you're going against the Knicks, but I'm still going to give you credit for the 30 for 30. What the hell happened that night?
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I just had a great rhythm going. In the first half, I think I was 2 for 8 from the field and had 6 points, 9 rebounds, and maybe a couple of assists. So I wasn't having the best game in the world heading into the second half, but I just got into a great rhythm in the third quarter. And especially, from a rebounding aspect, both offensive and defensive end, and, ended up playing the second half, I think the whole fourth quarter. And, like I said, the whole rhythm and just the way we were playing as a team, being down 21 and, kind of energy brought up by everybody and everybody doing their part, we ended up winning that game. But, as far as the 31-31 goes, it was, it's crazy to say, but it was all within the structure of the team and kind of, where our game plan was. And, every ball just seemed to, either bounce my direction or I was going after, and everyone I pursued, I just kind of got. So
yeah, I was happy that you didn't do the thing where you just kept throwing the ball off the backboard to yourself. That
would be too much like Moses Malone, right?
Is part of this, you've had kind of a rebounding explosion. You're really Darko's kind of a guy who stays 15 feet away from the hoop. Beasley's more of a perimeter guy. You're the guy who has to rebound on this team, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I have to, try to be one of the premier rebounders in the league. I mentioned you before the season that, don't count me out of the rebounding title. I might be right there.
You did tell me that.
Year looking at, maybe the rebounding title. So it's not it's not one of those things where it's a selfish stat either. So,
right.
Like my dad always told me, there's no such thing as a selfish rebound. So, I'm definitely going after everyone. And on this team, I feel like I am the premier guy as far as rebounding goes.
Yeah, you had 12-1 odds before the season, which was a little insulting because there were some people who had odds, like 6-1, 5-1, like Pau Gasol, who's a fantastic player, but not somebody that routinely pulls down, 18, 19 rebounds. It's almost like, you know, you're on a lottery team the last 2 years. It's almost like people forgot what you do. Like you go and you get the ball, and then you throw outlets. That's your thing. And it was like people forgot that. Was that frustrating for you?
You know, it was a little frustrating, but at the same time, you mentioned a guy like Pau Gasol or, you know, even like a Joakim Noah, who, you know, I really respect from, you know, a playing standpoint and also a rebounding standpoint. But those type of players, they're in, you know, Chicago, which is a big market, and then also in L.A., which is an even bigger market, and their teams are winning. So at times I feel like, you know, is it disrespect? No, I don't think so. I just, you know, think, you know, once we start accumulating wins and, you know, start winning ball games that, you know, more people will take notice. And, you know, I think after that 30-30 game, that was a kind of a way to show that, hey, we can play here out in Minnesota, and we're just trying to prove that now.
Beasley's been unbelievable the last 4 games. He had 42 against Sacramento, 35 against the Knicks, he had 28 against Charlotte. Like, he's really hitting his stride. And I'm still not totally sure what position he is, but it seems like it's working with you and him together. I mean, how do you get this guy for a second-round pick? I got to say, that was a great trade.
No, it definitely was. And, I didn't really have my skeptics. I'd known Mike since, you know, 7th, 8th grade, been playing against him. We were rivals in high school. We've always, you know, been friends, playing all the All-American games together. You know, came out of the draft the same year. So, you know, both of us would be seniors in college right now. He'd be at, obviously, Kansas State. I'd be at, you know, a far better UCLA, of course. But,
yeah.
You know, looking at Michael, you know, he's really coming into his own at the 3 position, and, you know, is actually playing, you know, some pretty good defense too against, you know, some big time players at that position. So he's obviously still learning on the job. Like I mentioned, we're both still young, but, you know, we're having a great time playing together. And, you know, as far as the offensive standpoint, he's really hitting his stride right now, like you mentioned.
Tell me what he's like behind the scenes.
He's great. He's, you know, at some points most points he's really loud. You know, gregarious personality, really likes to, you know, have fun, and, you know, just is always upbeat and loves playing the game, and just very, very outgoing, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So he's fun to be around. He's very, very high energy, and, you know, a great teammate.
Watching him these last couple games, it seems like somebody who can get to 30 points about as easily as anybody. Like, I don't feel like this is an aberration. Now, I know his head wasn't on right in Miami, and I know he had some personal issues. If he worked through all that stuff, this guy's a legitimate 25-point scorer, in my opinion. You agree with that?
I agree with that. I mean, he's a, you know, matchup nightmare. If he's playing, you know, if I'm sitting out and he's playing, you know, the 4, you know, he can come in there and, you know, go right around guys that are playing the 4 position that are too, you know, slow to guard him. And then at the 3 position, he's a matchup nightmare because, you know, he's just too big.
Yeah.
And he's unorthodox. Because he's a left-handed. He has, you know, can use his right hand just as well. And, I mean, there's a lot of things he does out there on the basketball court that you just can't stop. I mean, he can, you know, really shoot the 3. He has a great pull-up game. He can take the ball to the rim and get fouled, hit free throws, has a post-up game. So, you know, with Mike, it's almost, you know, like picking your poison. Like I said earlier, I mean, he's only coming into his own right now, and, you know, he's only going to get better. He's still only 21 years old, doesn't turn 22 till January, so there's a lot of growth there.
Do you think that the fact that Miami just gave up on him, and it was pretty clear that nobody in the league was even willing to give up that much for him, like, obviously lit a fire under him, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, just in talking to him, there's still that little, you know, whatever it is on his shoulder that's talking to him saying, hey, I still have to prove myself. And I think it's a good thing. I think, you know, for him having to, you know, prove to the rest of the league what he can do is a good thing, and he's showing that now. And always having that extra motivation as a player, and, you know, kind of that push in the back just to not stop and just keep fighting through things. And for him, proving himself, I think it's a huge thing for him. It's a huge thing for our team as far as getting better.
When you got benched in the opening game against Sacramento, you think that qualifies under the lit a fire under category, or did you already have the fire going?
You know, I've always kind of had the fire going, just, you know, from, you know, kind of spending my high school years in Portland, Oregon, all the way up through, you know, UCLA. Everybody hates it, you know, when you go to UCLA, and, you know, you're kind of on top. So I've always had that fire, always had that, you know, kind of spark plug and that push in the back, just kind of, or whatever it is on my shoulder, like I mentioned, just, talking to me, that little devil or that little angel, whatever it is, talking to me saying, hey, you got to do this and that. But, I think in that situation, Kurt and I have, kind of been off and on, but I feel like we see eye to eye now. And, as long as, I'm out there playing hard, he's going to give me more minutes. But, opening night was a little tough to swallow, but at the same time, Anthony Tolliver was playing well in that game.
You played Miami right when you guys went into a major funk, when you had a 5-game streak where you just got killed every time. I think you do a little bit better now if you're playing them, because it seems like your team's hitting your stride. But what did you take away from that Miami game playing against Wade and LeBron? I think I saw that against 500 teams, 500 or better teams, they're 1-4. So, I mean, as far as, I talk about for us being a cohesive unit and being on the same page, I think, for them it's almost the same thing. They have, so much talent in those, 3 players that they have that, they're going to have to figure out and learn how to play together. But I think in due time that they will be a lot better. But at the same time, as well as I do, and probably even better that, at the 1 position and also at the 5 position, they might struggle a little bit. And I think scoring in the paint, aren't they, as far as points in the paint, they're, towards the end and worse in the league. So that just goes to show you right there that they like other teams, have a lot to work on, and it's still early in the season. But like I said, everybody hits their stride, and, nobody's in mid-season form yet. So you played Miami, Orlando, and the Lakers so far. You haven't played the Celtics yet. Who did you think was the best out of those 3?
Well, we got beat worse by Orlando, but, I mean, you still got to give it to the champs. I believe that they're playing the best, basketball right now. I mean, no disrespect to, the Boston or New Orleans or Orlando themselves, but I think, still the champs are, a force to be reckoned with, and, they haven't really hit their stride either with, getting Bynum back and getting everybody healthy and, with their new players that they acquired in the offseason.
Well, that was a good answer because you're playing them on Friday night. You did a nice job of not saying anything that would.
I appreciate it. You like the media answer on that one, right?
You don't want to make Kobe mad. He's like a Rottweiler.
That was my go-to.
Yeah.
I had it written down. I said, if Bill asked me about the Lakers or who's the best team is, say this. So.
Well, you have an interesting.
Almost had it spot on.
Listen to this stretch you have coming up. You have Blake Griffin tonight at home. You're catching the Clips at a good time. I'm going to tell you that one. Beast. In a funk, though. He's definitely has that. It's kind of sad to watch. The Clippers can do this. They can suck the life out of their players within 3 weeks, and he went from being this happy, energetic rookie to just kind of being like, oh, my God, what's happening? So it'll be interesting to see how he plays tonight. Then you have Gasol on Friday. You have Durant on Monday. You have Duncan on Wednesday. David Lee, if he comes back in time, on Saturday. And then Nowitzki. You have and Duncan. Jeez. It's like every night there's a great power forward to go against.
It's great. I love it. I mean, I was talking to somebody about tonight even against Blake. We've been playing against each other since, freshman, sophomore year of high school. And I said, well, what's the matchup could be like tonight? I said, well, I mean, every night it's kind of the same thing. One night you're playing, Blake Griffin, and like you mentioned, and Friday night you're playing Pau Gasol or Lamar Odom. So, every night at the power forward position is, very tough and, kind of a beast of a game. So you have to make sure that you bring it. And I, kind of said that, kind of no matter what, we, around the league have power forwards that really play the game hard. And, with Blake, he's only going to get better and better, and he's going to be a force to reckon with, soon enough.
So you talk about, it seems like you have a history with some of these guys. Like you said before, you played Beasley since way back. You played Griffin since way back. I think Durant is in that group. Who else is in that class of guys that you've known since you were like 14?
Oh, wow. Eric Gordon, also on the Clippers.
Who's been fantastic. I don't know if you've seen him this year, but yeah, he's taken a leap.
So he's almost at 23 points a game. Can you imagine if, because he's going to hit his stride from the 3-point line. It's undeniable. I mean, the guy's too good of a shooter. So
yeah. He
gets to the line. He uses his body. He's very, very strong. Pound for pound, he's one of the strongest guys in the league. And
hold on, I agree with you.
Hard guard.
I agree with you on that because when you see him in person, that guy's jacked. Like he is not a typical shooting guard. He's built like a tight end.
Right. You don't realize until you brush up against him too. Like if you're trying to take a charge or take a foul, if there was a top 5, 6, 7 guys I would least likely to take a charge against, I think that he would be right up there.
Oh, wait a second. Let's do that list. LeBron's first.
Okay, LeBron's number 1.
Yeah.
If they're coming at you full speed, LeBron's number 1. I mean, you can't disregard Shaq. I mean, he's just that big.
True.
You know, he's maybe not running that fast, but at the same time, it's still Shaq.
Big Baby.
I think Big Baby is right there. I think maybe you have to throw Dwight in there just because he's so big.
True. Yeah, I would throw him in. I like the Eric Gordon thing, though. I agree with you. He bounces off big guys, holds his body in the air, and still gets shots off, which really only like a couple guards in the league can do, I think. Westbrook's actually a guy who can do that, too. Wait a second. So
yeah, Westbrook.
Who else was – so Eric Gordon, who else was on that list of guys that you've known since forever?
I'd say, Kevin Durant is right up there. The class ahead of us, got a guy like Greg Oden, Derrick Rose, Jared Bayless. I mean, that whole who's ever in that, kind of the 2008 draft is guys we've known forever. Brooke Lopez, I've known for both the Lopez twins, and mostly that young nucleus of guys around the league I've known for a very, very long time. I'd say this past year's draft is really the only class I didn't really know too many guys as far as freshmen or sophomores who came out into the league.
You played with Westbrook at UCLA, and I know you thought he was good, and we've talked about him. But did you expect that this fast this guy would be a top 15 guy?
I didn't know if I expected it this fast, but I can say I did expect it. I was, we were roommates in college. He was, probably the first guy I met on campus who, befriended me at UCLA on, the first day I was there. And he was always that guy when I thought I was waking up early and getting my time in, before practice or, 6:45 in the morning, whatever it was in the weight room, he was always there. And when I was going in to get some extra shooting in, he was always there. And I just thought to myself, wow, this kid is going to be special one day. And I kept telling everybody that summer when we were playing up at the men's gym at UCLA, and I saw him, going against Barron and going against Earl Watson and, certain guys that spend their time in LA in the off season, which is most, including yourself. He was doing a fantastic. He was rebounding the ball, put back dunks off of drop steps, and everything's really came along. And even his 15-foot, 18-foot pull-up game is starting to look pretty nice. So. He's a tremendous athlete, a tremendous, player. And if anybody, he never had any enemies at UCLA. I wish I could say the same, but he's the type of guy that everybody just kind of liked. And, he, like I mentioned, a gregarious personality, fun to be around. He's the same way.
You never invited me to the LA game. I could have definitely at least run the floor and shot threes. I never got the invite.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that. Maybe one of the Clipper guys will invite you since you're on their jock so much. Huh?
You didn't need a 41-year-old guy who can only shoot threes and has a bad back. You didn't need that in your game, I guess not.
No. I think we're good.
I wanted to ask you about Team USA because, and I don't know if this is a coincidence, but Rudy Gay this year has been fantastic. I feel like he's taken a leap up a level. Eric Gordon, same thing. He's been fantastic. You've been great. Was there something that happened at Team USA, like the competitiveness of the practices and the games, or am I thinking too much about this?
Can I not get a fantastic too? Those guys getting fantastic.
I gave you a fantastic. You had a 31-31.
You gave me a great. You didn't get no, but I think everybody has really shined. I mean, you even look at Lamar Odom, who played a huge factor, huge role in that team as the starting center. I mean, you look at him; he's been playing great. Kevin Durant, obviously, coming off a MVP type season last year, has been playing phenomenal. Russell Westbrook has taken leaps and bounds even from where he was. Eric Gordon was shooting the ball extremely well over the summer. I have no doubt that he'll come back and hit his stride shooting the three-point shot, but is averaging 23 points regardless, getting to the line. I mentioned all the things he does. Rudy Gay playing, top 5 or 6 in the league in scoring, playing phenomenal. So you go all the way down the list, and kind of everybody that played on their team, is just coming into their own and really, really playing well. And you got to give credit to, I mean, really all the players 1 through 12, but also the whole coaching staff too, and Coach K and, Jerry Colangelo, all of them for, putting us in that situation and, doing a great job putting that team together.
So you think it was like going to the greatest basketball camp ever? Like for 6 weeks?
I think so. I mean, everybody got so much better. And, some people talk about, oh, how are their legs going to be? Are they going to be fresh for the season? But really, I mean, I came into camp the best shape of my life. Like I mentioned, I keep saying hit my stride. I probably mentioned that 4 or 5 times already with different guys. But, I mean, that's really what I felt like. I felt like I was, ready and, kind of probed to go for the rest of the season. And, I was from game one or day one in training camp, I felt great. And, you got to give credit to, kind of that training camp that went on. So it was a great experience, and, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Plus, I got a pretty nice looking gold medal out of it too.
Yeah, and as we talked about on PTI, because you got hurt and then you kind of fell out of the rotation, you really took the Mark Madsen routine to the level it needed to go on the bench.
Oh, I mean,
towel waving was great.
If they weren't, paying me to. If they weren't paying me to play nowadays, I'd probably be like what's that guy's name? Clipper Darrell or whatever.
Clipper Darrell, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely be, Clipper Darrell. So, I take that into account too. How lucky I am that I do have a fallback plan if basketball doesn't work out for me.
Well, think like when you're like in your late 30s, so you could stretch your career along for 2 more years before you do any TV or media or anything. That could be your thing. You could just be the towel-waving veteran guy.
It could be my thing. I mean, I just have to come up with a couple better chants than UGLY. You ain't got no alibi.
Can you guys hear that when he yells that, or do you tune it out?
No, you can definitely hear it. He does a great job. I heard that the Mavs actually wanted to hire him. Cuban wanted to, try to get him, but then the Clippers put him on payroll or something. He has like this big cult following, but I dig it, man. He's got the Two-Face outfit from Batman and everything. I'm digging it.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting when Cuban tried to lure him away. It was probably the most exciting Clipper moment other than winning the lottery of the last 5 years, unfortunately.
That's awesome. That's a good way to get, like, season tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. Hey, tell me about...
Did you have to... I'm sorry, but did you have to pay for yours? He just gets his, huh?
I pay for mine. I feel like it's the right thing to do, and then I can be candid about the team. Tell me about your Coach K impressions.
My Coach K impressions?
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the most successful college coaches probably ever. You got to play for him for 6 weeks. Like, how would you? Is there anything you glean from those 6 weeks that could explain why he's been so successful?
Yes, I can't. As far as the impression goes, I need about 25 or 30 more minutes. But I'd say what gets his teams ready to play is how great of a motivator he is. And until not people get lucky enough to play for him, but obviously I was lucky enough to play for him this summer. When you're around him, he's such a great motivator, whether it's a practice day, a game day, or even a day off, talking to the team every day, 25 or 30 minutes, just getting us ready or prepared for the day ahead. He will relate his experiences that he's had in the first minute of his speech to his 25th or 30th minute, and you'll just sit there and be like, wow, and you'll be, jacked up and ready to play. So, I mean, he's a tremendous motivator. Obviously, a great coach. You can see by, his track record and, a Hall of Fame type, guy to be around. I mean, it was a tremendous summer, and from that regard, he was, such a great coach for us and such a great, motivator that he really got us, excited to play. Not that we already weren't excited to play to have USA across the chest, but he really related those experiences and kind of gave us, chills, kind of every day he talked to us.
So he's almost like a sports movie.
He is. He's really like, a sports movie. Think about the summer he had, and you look at a guy like Lamar Odom. He won the his second straight championship, and then a gold medal, and now he's playing a world championship gold medal, and now he's playing, maybe some of the best ball of his career, maybe the best. And then you look at, Coach K, who, in 2008 redeemed team, Olympic gold medal. Then, he heads into, this past year he got a an NCAA championship, and then he wins a world championship that hasn't been done since, 1994. Shaq's the only player in the league other than, us 12 players now that have a world championship medal. So, I mean, that's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I want to not like him because I just instinctively not like Duke, but at some point, when he won that last title, I mean, it's starting to just pile up now. This guy is probably the best coach of the last 30 years. You can't deny it. Anybody, you spent a lot of time with that team. Was everybody happy with their minutes? Like, was Danny Granger happy? Were people all happy with the roles that they fit into?
I don't see just being on the team. I mentioned with the USA, the red, white, and blue, getting to put that jersey on, having being on ESPN, every game, and it was an unbelievable experience. I don't see how you could ever have an ego. If you couldn't put your ego aside, then you couldn't be there. I mean, I think I mentioned Jerry Colangelo and Coach K and the rest of the coaching staff putting the team together. I think that they kind of looked at it on that aspect too. How are these guys going to play together? How are these guys going to accept their role? And I think everybody did. Whether for me, I always took the mindset that whether I play 5 minutes or 35 minutes, I'm going to go out there and get it done the minutes that I'm in. And I think that was the right mindset that I had, and the rest of the guys had as well.
When Durant was clearly the alpha dog by the last 4 games, but when did that, in the practices and stuff, when did that fully come out? Was it clear from the first day, or was it like the 10th day? When did it happen?
I think it was evident from really day one in camp. That was we were at UNLV practicing. That was our first training camp. It was kind of evident that he was going to be our leader. Whether he was our vocal leader or not, I think that Lamar and Chauncey and Tyson and the veteran guys really stepped up and were really the vocal leaders. But Kevin, he just led by his play and led by example, and it was kind of evident from day one that he was going to be our go-to scorer, the guy that was going to potentially be playing the most minutes, and we were going to put him there. I mentioned Jerry Colangelo and Krzyzewski again. They were going to put guys around him that were going to help us be the best. But he was like you said, alpha dog from day one, and with none of the returning players from the 2008 Redeem team, he was kind of our go-to guy from the second he stepped through the lines and was on the court.
Is it in the back of your head thinking you have a chance at that 2012 team?
I think so. I don't see why not. At least have a chance to try out for the team and be able to go in there and show what I can do. I don't see why not.
Because it's 2 years.
I would
away.
love the chance. It would be a great opportunity for me. Why not?
What was the funniest?
They need some color. We need some color on that team. It was funny that one of the first days of camp, guys are like, that you could be the once David Lee went out, they're like, you could be the token white guy, right? And I was like, oh, thanks.
They gotta have one. Guys. You gotta have one.
They started calling me token. You know what I mean? It was great.
That's fantastic. Was that really a nickname?
Under the radar, yes. We just didn't want to leak that to the press too much, so I figured I'd say it here on the BS report. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. That's a pretty good nickname. Although you're 30, I think your new nickname should be 3131 because I mean, when you saw the list and it was like Moses, Kareem, Wilt, were you kind of flabbergasted by that?
No, the thing I was flabbergasted most about, I love the vocabulary by the way, is that where'd you go to school?
Holy Cross.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, 103, 30, or 104, whatever, one of those numbers, 103, 104, 30 games, Wilt Chamberlain.
Wow.
I mean, come on, like, really?
It was a different era,
they make a big deal out of me doing it once, and he had 100 plus. Like, it's just, you put that into, I mean, it hasn't been done since 82 and 28 years, and, you go into the numbers about it, but Wilt did it 100 plus times.
I forgot to ask you this.
Right?
What was the absolute funniest thing that happened in Turkey?
The absolute funniest thing that happened in Turkey.
The story that you came back and told all your friends about. You're not going to believe this happened.
Oh man, you're gonna have to come back to me on that one. There was some funny stuff that happened. We had a great group of guys. Everybody was so funny. Everybody had their own personality. And
well, what'd you guys do in Turkey for 3 weeks? I mean,
stayed at the hotel. I mean, some guys went on their tours. We took, yachts to go eat in, this little island, and we got to, see most of it in Istanbul. But I mean, we took a few tours here and there. But
so there are a lot of pay-per-views.
Yes, we had like the sling box where we were watching, the first few weeks of college football, and of course I was watching UCLA. I always have to plug UCLA. But
right. Video games?
Yes, video game guys are playing video games too. Obviously, they were playing Madden, and obviously I have to plug EA Sports. Those are my guys over there at EA. But
all right. So who's the best Madden guy?
Ooh, that's tough. Tyson Chandler thought he had game, but a lot of guys were. I'm not that big of a gamer, but I am a sports gamer, so I wasn't too bad at Madden myself.
All right. So you have this big road trip coming up, and I don't know. It feels like you got a little momentum. How about Wes Johnson? How's he adjusted?
He's adjusted well. Obviously being a rookie, obviously your guy Blake Griffin. There's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be points in the season where you're looking at him and saying, "Come on, Rook! Like, what's the deal? Where's the energy at?" So he's been doing great so far. He's getting better and better. He's picking his spots well on the floor, defending well. He's got a good basketball body. He's about 6'6", 6'7", long, athletic. Can play, the 2 or the 3 depending on the matchups. So I think he's adjusting well. He still has a lot to learn, like, guys in their first 3 or 4 years do. But, I say he has a very, very bright future in this league, and I'm happy about where he's at.
And Darko, who is, I think Minnesota's his 5th team, he actually had a good game on Monday night. He had a slow start, but had the triple-double with like 5, or double-double with 5 blocks or something like that. And
I think 4 assists, too.
And 4 assists. On paper, he's a good fit with you because, he's a passing center, 15 feet away from the hoop usually, clears it out for you to get the rebounds. He can protect the rim. You're not really somebody who protects the rim. I mean, on paper, it's a good match. How are you feeling about it?
No, I think it's a good match, too. He just, we'd like to see him finish a little bit more around the basket, and he has been. It's fun. He's had so many shots this year that, even our whole team that, have just rolled around the rim about 5 times and came out or bounced in and out. So, his shooting percentage is going to, skyrocket once he starts hitting those. And, he blocks a ton of shots. He changes a lot of shots. People forget how many possessions he changes by changing shots alone. Great passer. Obviously, has, big time size, 7'1", very long, very athletic. So, he's the type of guy that can, really help our team, and we like where he's at right now.
So how does he end up on 4 other teams? What do you think went wrong?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I just, the attitude that he's had since he's been here has been great. He's been working hard. I'm assuming he's in the best shape, of his life before, pre-draft. It's funny to me, everybody gets in the best shape of their life before, pre-draft, and they get into the league, and it's like, what happened? But
right.
He's probably in the best shape he's been in since he's been in the league, and I think the coaches are working with him, and you can see every day after practice he wants to get better, and he's working hard. And I think it helps that we have Nikola Pekovic on our team because he's from Montenegro and Darko's from Serbia, so they speak the same language. They kind of hang out and have fun with each other. So we mess with the Serbians a lot.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that they were from the same region. Like
somewhat. We always mention, Peck, you're from Serbia. He's like, no, Montenegro. That's how he says it. So.
And Johnny,
I've learned my majority of curse words. So.
Oh, in Serbian? Because they can swear at the refs, and the refs don't know, right?
They have no idea, and it's so funny when they say it. But I don't want to call them out on it but they could never know. They just kind of say things under their breath or just like everybody else does. It's no secret,
Did you feel like the changes with barking at the refs and stuff? Do you feel like guys have actually bought into it, or do you think it's just by February it'll be back to the old way?
I don't think it'll ever be back to the old way, but with some things, like if you say ball don't lie or say, oh, man, and you throw your hands up. I don't think that should be considered a tech, but, you you have to respect the rule, and you kind of just have to abide by it. And I think a lot of guys, from different teams that may have gone after a ref or said a certain something to a ref that I'm sure everybody can make up in their mind, bunch of 4-letter words that they kind of pull it back a little bit. And in a way, I know for me, if I get upset at a call, sometimes it'll take me out of a game. So for me, I kind of have to pull it back in. I'm saving $2,000 every technical that I don't get.
Right.
And, I'm also staying focused on the game and not worrying about foul calls.
You got one technical this year.
Oh, man.
What happened?
I did. Orlando. I was backing, I forget who it was, maybe Brandon Bass down or somebody like that, and backing him down, and, just got hit in the back, and I said, come on, really loud, and, that got me a tech. So
2,000.
I probably deserved a tech there at that point, but.
What's interesting? I took my wife to her first game of the year on Monday. We played the Nets, and I had been touting Blake Griffin for 3 weeks, and he did not have a good game, so she was confused. But in the third quarter, she just said randomly to me, did they change the rules about guys being allowed to argue with the refs? Because she doesn't really follow sports. She wouldn't have known.
Right.
And I was like, actually, yeah, they made a new rule that you're not really allowed to yell at the refs. And so I was like, do you like it? And she said, actually, I don't like it. I kind of liked when the guys argued with the refs because then you could see what their real personality was. I thought that was interesting. Because when you're yelling with the ref or you're working him or you're going back and forth, you do kind of get a sense for who the person is a little bit. And now it's like everybody's just kind of internalizing. I don't know if I like it.
How do you think Rasheed Wallace would do with this new rule?
He'd be done. He'd be out of the league. His head would have exploded.
Do you think he'd be living paycheck to paycheck?
Well, the good news is that we have DeMarcus Cousins, who will allow us to figure out what Rasheed would have been like under these rules. Because I think eventually Cousins will be like that.
I guess you're right.
Have you gone
how is
against him
it
yet?
that I have? Yeah, twice actually.
What were your
opening
thoughts?
night, and then I think he's going to be a great player once he figures it out. I mean, he's so big. He's very agile, very athletic. He's getting that 15, 17-footer down, knocking it down on a consistent basis. I mean, once he really gets a go-to post-up move, I mean, he's going to be a load to handle. So I think he has the potential to be very good if he doesn't get all those texts that you're talking about.
Did you have to actually defend him?
Yeah, I brushed up against him a couple times. I mean, depending on kind of the way things shake out, you're going to have to brush up against a 4 or a 5
right.
at any point in the game. So, I did, but I can't say I remember what exactly happened.
Because just watching on TV, he seems abnormally big for somebody who's, I think he's like a 19-year-old rookie. Like, I don't know what his body's going to look like 5 years from now. He really might just be a beast.
He's a big dude. I mean, he might be a beast. And like you said, 19 years old, I don't know when he turns 20, but, I mean, my body changed even from when I was, 18, 19 years old to now, 22. So he has he's going to get a lot better conditioned, probably a lot stronger. And, I mean, that's going to be a load. It's going to be a load to handle.
Well, good luck handling that. All right, Kevin Love. So come back in 4 to 6 weeks. Try not to have a 40-40 game in the meantime, or we'll have to have you back sooner than that. But
all right, we need to get
6 weeks.
We need to get the sports guy's wife to. How does she not like? Not like sports, but how does she not follow sports?
She's too busy.
When you get home, what do you talk about? Hey, how was your day at work? Yeah, how do you talk about sports? You know what I mean?
I have plenty of friends to talk about sports with.
Oh, okay.
We
you guys
talk
just
about
sit on the beach in Malibu and sip Coronas with lime and just hang? Like, what's
How
the deal
did you
here?
know? How did you know? It's
Dude.
unbelievable. All right, so come back in a few weeks, and hopefully by that time, Michael Beasley will be the most improved candidate, runaway winner, and you guys will be 500, and it'll be fun. Good luck.
Well, what will I be? I mean, I want to be up there too.
Well, right now.
I'm kidding.
No, hold on. I'm going to look at this right now because I think you're leading the league in rebounding right now. Yes, you are. You have a 1.5 rebound lead over Joakim Noah. You know what's funny?
Good for
you totally knew that.
White boy.
You totally knew that.
I told you that I'd be right there. I'd be I'd be in the conversation. That's what I said.
True or false? You looked at the Bulls box score last night to see how many rebounds Noah had.
False.
False? Come on.
I would say this. There's an asterisk by that false that I said that I do on most nights. Yes.
Okay. So
rebounds are an unselfish stat. So.
Well, what's weird is that
I have no problem with that.
You might have lucked out because Dwight Howard looks like he's having an off rebounding year. He's only at 10.9. But you're right.
Yeah. The thing is, when I have like the Joakim Noah like ticker from ESPN, I have it like sent to my phone. You know, the stat thing every. I have it to where they just send me that. I don't have mine. I don't have Dwight. I mean, I have Dwight's too because he's going to be right there at the end of the year. I know, but like more often than not, I have Joakim Noah always sent to my phone. I think it costs me like $2 a year too. It's really hit me hard. My pockets are feeling pretty light at this point.
I got to see now. Now I got to figure out when you play him because I'm going to have to watch that game. Let's see. Not till December.
Like December 13th or something.
Yeah,
like that.
December 11th at Chicago. The rebounding title possibly on the line. Maybe we'll talk to you after that. Kevin Love, good luck. Talk to you soon.
I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. We're going to call my friend House, see how he's doing over the McNabb situation.
Joe House.
What's happening?
What is happening?
Just had Kevin Love on the podcast, had 10 minutes to fill. I thought I'd call you.
Hey, so we're live.
We're live.
Wow. I'm not prepared, but that's okay.
That's all right. I only had 2 questions for you.
Hit me.
McNabb.
Yeah?
Actually, walk me through Monday night.
What's there to walk you through? I enter, the 8:29, 8:30 in the evening. I was as excited and interested and curious and kind of fascinated by this Washington team as I've been. It was kind of an interesting moment in the Skins' future, and we had the answer to the rest of the season and maybe the next year and a half of the franchise in about 4.5 minutes.
Well, shouldn't they have made it more clear that the reports of what the McNabb deal actually wasn't as bad as the actual deal is?
Well, I think that's kind of a reflection of the day and age that we're in terms of the dissemination of information. You, your own self, wrote, 2,000 words on the way that the hyperspeed that information travels. Nobody waits for details anymore. It's just a sort of first blush outline of these deals that gets disseminated, and everybody, immediately rushes to comment and offer judgment. I, my own self, tweeted some initial reactions based on the initial reports, but I tried to hedge in my own little commentary that, because the details, they're never as first reported these days.
Yeah, and the actual deal isn't that bad. I mean, they can get out of it at pretty much any point, it seems like. So.
That's the point that I, especially in my little Twitter analysis, I expected that to be the case. There was just no scenario that I could envision where the Redskins were going to commit themselves to really anything with McNabb beyond this season. I just refused to believe it.
So
I wouldn't say refused, but I was really skeptical.
Your season's over, I think.
As far as I'm concerned, I had a conversation earlier today with somebody where, basically the experience the last half dozen years is like, what game on the schedule is going to be the game that will confirm to me that I can stop watching the Redskins? That I can go ahead and stop, building the time into my Sunday schedule. This year, week 8.
Yeah, there it is.
Last year it was like week 3. The year before, Zorn had the Skins started off 6-2, so it was like week 10 or week 11 or something. But
Well, the one thing I thought for sure that we were going to have a 9-7 wild card team this year, and now looking at the standings, we have 7 teams that are 6-3 or better in the NFC, and the Redskins are 4-5. So I think you're done. All right, so let's talk about them. Number 2.
Yeah.
UConn Baylor. Were you surprised?
UConn Baylor.
Yeah, with the game last night, the women's.
Oh, what happened?
No, I don't know.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I thought you were going to roll with that, but you didn't really know where I was going with it.
No, I didn't. I was like, is there a football? Did something happen? Did somebody go in the stands?
So we just had Kevin Love on the podcast.
Yeah. What do you have to say about his 30-30?
He was excited about it. He's really excited about Beasley. Have you seen Beasley this year?
No. I've seen his hair. That's it. I haven't really seen him play.
Beasley might be back. So here's my question. What do I do with Khan? Khan might have made like the steal of the year.
No. Well, here's the thing. He may have. The Beasley thing was, out of all the sort of risks and chances that he took, kind of a reasonable risk. Kind of a sensible...
it was more than reasonable. It makes me mad that the Clippers didn't do it, or... the team that really should have done it. What about Oklahoma City?
Well, look, it's a character thing, and there's nothing to say that 5 games from now, or 10 games from now, or 20 games from now, that character thing flares up again, and he sort of, reverts back. It's a calculated risk, but it's a risk, and the risk hasn't been diminished by the fact that he's played good for 10 games. He's had his best stretch here in these 10, 12 games for Minnesota in his entire NBA career. Doesn't that tell you something? So
you think Beasley's basically, it's like the bad club girls reunion last night.
Bad
Girls Club, where the one girl was on her best behavior for about 40 minutes, but you knew it was going to eventually boil over, and it did. That's your take on this.
I just think, the jury's still out. We don't have any verdicts yet. So it's not, you can't look at other teams and say, oh, you team messed up by not pursuing this. There are some teams that could have afforded a calculated risk, taking a gamble on Beasley, teams that have strong enough kind of character, both players and, the franchise itself, like a team like San Antonio.
I think it should have been Oklahoma City. Because Durant and Beasley are best friends.
Isn't the chemistry, though, really important in Oklahoma City, and those guys are also young?
But I don't think Beasley's a bad guy. I don't think anybody ever thought he was like a disruptive force or anything. I just think he had personal issues away from the stadium.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. The disruptive force thing, I'm not sure. Who knows which way that cuts. Him dealing with his own demons. That has to, impact guys, the team, if the team comes to be depending on him.
The problem with the whole risk thing is that it really wasn't a risk, because he's under contract for this year and next year, and it's like $5 million a year. So I mean, it's almost like that's not a risk, that's a flyer.
Well, it was no risk at all for Minnesota. What did Minnesota have to lose? How many teams are out there where you could say they had absolutely nothing to lose? There's probably like 6 or 7 teams.
We said when it happened, I couldn't believe that was the price for him. And I just assumed, he had, real problems. Problems that we didn't know yet.
Well, he did.
Well, I know that he had problems, but I'm saying, when he just went for 2 second-round picks and nobody trumped that,
right?
That made me think, how bad of his problems could have been.
That's a good point.
The Clippers couldn't have trumped 2 second-round picks.
Maybe everybody feels like, the lesson that teams and the league has learned over the years with guys with substance abuse problems, the Vin Baker experiment, folks don't have a huge appetite to retry that. You have to really be in a position with nothing to lose.
My whole thing is, I was 20 and 21 once.
I know.
You're an idiot when you're 20. He was at South Beach. He didn't handle it well. That doesn't mean he's a write-off for his career.
No, I agree. I'm not suggesting that he was a write-off.
No, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying 28 teams basically decided that he was, which is really hard. And that's why at the time I really thought his problems were a lot worse, but obviously they weren't. And it just makes you think
Well, I don't think you can say for sure. You can't conclude that those problems weren't deeper. For now, he's doing great, and I'm rooting for him to keep doing great.
Well, do you think maybe some of it is he's much better off living in Minnesota than South Beach?
Look, let's not make jokes about it. There's a very sort of real appeal to that kind of an environment. It's a big difference, isn't it?
But that's exactly, well, first of all, and I'm writing this week, but it's Brian Colangelo refusing to have Beasley included in the deal, but then spending $34 million on Amir Johnson.
Toronto fans have been imploring you to finally take on Colangelo, and you're doing it.
What's there to take on? It's like I'm going onto a street and kicking a squirrel carcass. Is it controversial? This guy's terrible?
It's really
a terrible
good.
general manager.
Terrible.
They have the worst team in the league, and it's a team that's so bad that when they come on the DirecTV season ticket package, you're like, you just like, oh my God, that's the whole team? Like Sonny Weems?
Is it time to dust off the terrible GM summit?
It might
be. Is that
be.
what's coming?
It might be.
Look at Dumars.
Would you rather have Michael Beasley 2 years for $10 million, who was the number 2 draft pick, or number 2 pick of the draft 2 years ago, or would you rather spend $34 million on Amir Johnson? Like, what sane person would pick Amir Johnson out of that?
It's an excellent point.
It's dumbfounding. I just don't get it. I feel like I'm missing something. Like these GMs have more information, like with character evaluations and DNA tests. And
what's really crazy? Toronto would have been perfect for Beasley.
Yeah.
Those fans are so supportive, so nurturing.
You know what else would have been good is I think Cleveland would have been good for him.
Yeah,
Oklahoma City.
Portland.
Portland, I don't know.
Why?
The soccer moms might have been rough on him.
No, I bet they would have nurtured him.
You think so?
It depends on the narrative, right? I mean, if the narrative is he confronted his substance abuse issues, and he's working his way back out of them, who can't get behind that?
True.
He doesn't have anything on his record that suggests like he's a bad guy, bad actor.
We watched him in college, and
he looked disinterested to me. I didn't like the body language stuff.
In college?
He had a terrific skill set. Continues to possess a terrific skill set. I thought at times he looked disinterested in the games. That was my take on him in college.
But he had a couple college games where we were like, whoa.
Oh, I mean, right, sure.
Yeah.
All the skill in the world.
He gets to 30 really easily.
He also is such a sneaky good rebounder.
Yeah.
So what did Kevin say about playing with Beasley?
He loved him.
Yeah.
It's a weird match, but somehow it's working. All right, last thing, and then we got to go. Eva Longoria and Tony Parker have split up. American Wanted, your thoughts really quick.
My thoughts? I don't have any thoughts.
Well, I have some thoughts.
Let's hear them.
I wish I had been able to wager on this.
Yeah, well, that's right. Who couldn't have seen it coming?
A French point guard doing something that he shouldn't have with his behind the back of his celebrity wife.
Is that the story?
Oh yeah, that's the new Us Weekly story coming out.
Oh, I didn't see. You're plugged in. I'm out of the loop. I'm just
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the internet. Someday you'll have to get it.
This may come as a shock, but Us Weekly isn't on my isn't on my rotation.
Sorry, it's a link that's getting passed around. The reason I knew about it was because all of a sudden I got all these emails this morning and tweets about how Tony Parker needed the BlackBerry Infidel. That BlackBerry that I wanted to create for cheating.
Is there a name
code.
Who did he step out with?
It looks like there might have been a year of texts with some female friend that Eva Longoria stumbled across.
When are people going to learn?
Listen, the Sandra Bullock career game plan. This is a good thing for her, ultimately, career-wise. Yeah,
she needs to get right because that show is moribund.
That's what anybody who's kind of a celebrity who's on the downside, who hasn't been relevant in a couple of years, this is a great way to get back in. Women love when a woman's been cheated on.
That's true.
You're right back with everybody when that happens.
There's probably a lifetime. She probably has 3 or 4 different Lifetime movie proposals waiting for her right now in her inbox.
We can't talk about some of the wall stuff for obvious reasons, but let's at least talk about where he is as a basketball player through 3 weeks.
He's exceeded expectations is the easy way that I would answer that.
I like John Wall. Somebody did point out, though, that there is a little bit of a Marbury about him. Early Marbury. I'm not talking about late Marbury.
In what respect?
Puts up huge offensive stats, a lot of turnovers. I think he's a much better defensive player. But
he's near the top of the league in steals.
Yeah, but I'm talking about offensively. A little bit out of control, needs the ball.
I just think it's kind of inappropriate and extremely premature to be drawing conclusions about him offensively right now because of who he's playing with. I mean,
that's a fair point.
You just can't reach any reasonable conclusion when his options are Nick Young and Yijin Lan and Thornton. Al Thornton's actually been playing pretty good.
I think he's really exciting.
He's really exciting, super exciting.
But I actually get more excitement out of watching him on defense. The offense, there's a lot of guys who can do the stuff that he does on offense, but the defense is, I think, what's going to make him stand out.
Well,
and his anticipation with things, I think, is unlike just about anybody.
So there's a piece of that on the offensive end. He has that skill. I think we talked about this one of our last conversations, where he covers the floor so quickly.
Yeah.
Like him on a fast break is something to see. It's breathtaking.
Yeah. And you know who else is really, really super fast is Bledsoe in the Clippers.
Oh, so that's I want to ask you about that. His stats suggest that he has fit in seamlessly, and that team, it's interesting. We talked about this when we were going through that their awful schedule, how unfair their schedule is.
Yeah.
But look at that little young nucleus that the Clippers have right now.
Well, listen, you don't have to tell me because I've been going to the games. The kid who shocked me, I always liked Bledsoe. I thought he was going to be a good pro, and I thought he was a sleeper. But I didn't realize Aminu was going to be good. He just seemed to me like somebody that would be like one of those guys Chad Ford was really high on. He's great in workouts, but then when he played, he wasn't an NBA player. But he's really good.
Yeah, he's good.
For a rookie. I was impressed by him.
I got to see him a decent amount. He's an ACC guy who went to Wake, so I got to see him.
I didn't realize he shoots the three and it actually goes in every once in a while.
He's long.
He's long.
He's a Jay Billis guy.
Reminds me of Luol Deng.
Yeah, sure.
He's out of that same kind of class, but with him and then Bledsoe, like Bledsoe's played so well that the Clips fans are just, the remaining 35 fans are just done with Barron. They're just like, they want him to either get bought out or have a career-ending injury or something.
Well, look,
they don't want him to come back.
There's an interesting package deal to be had here, and the Clips may have lucked into an identity situation here, right? They can move a package of like Barron and Kaman, and there are some teams that could use, a package like that if they're willing to hold their nose and take the price. Really?
Yeah.
Even when he's healthy?
Once he came out and talked about how his knee's bugging him and all that stuff, like just with his salary and his knee and the fact that it doesn't really seem like he's cared in 2 years.
It's a shame.
I wouldn't go near him.
The Bobcats could really use it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. The Boris Diaw for Barron. I think there's something there that seems like it could work. Cause
that's funny.
Boris Diaw similarly out of shape.
Well, that's right. He's fat every year. What's the difference?
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. The Clips, the biggest problem with the Clips right now is Blake is just checked out. Like, I actually thought he mailed in the game on Monday night. Humphries is really physical with him.
Oh, no.
Who knew Chris Humphries was good, by the way?
Yeah, I had him on my fantasy team for a stretch last season when he was on the Nets.
Yeah.
He's sneaky good.
He's sneaky
rebounder.
good. I got to say, he worked Blake like a speed bag.
Oh.
He really did a job on him. Blake couldn't post him up, and then he just kind of gave up.
He's been in the league 3 or 4 years now, and he played for Jerry Sloan, so you know that he learned, the NBA game from one of the best.
I'll go this far. I kind of like that team. If I was Carmelo, I actually wouldn't be opposed to going to that team.
Yeah, I
didn't feel like I felt like they were a professional basketball team, and honestly, I'm not even totally sure I'd want to trade for Carmelo if I were them. I kind of liked what they had. I thought Favors was much bigger than I thought he was going to be in person. I mean, I thought he was going to be like one of these, skinny 19-year-old running guys.
Yeah,
he's not like that at all. He's
when
big.
we did our over/under chat. The thing that I liked about them and that was appealing to me and made me think that the over was a good wager was they put some NBA guys around some youth, and they really look like they could do something.
The thing about them. Avery somehow got a bad rap because of the finals, and then on top of that, the Golden State collapse. But he's one of the best 8 coaches in the league.
Sure, right. I mean, it's not somehow he got a bad rap. He kind of had his own hand in his own.
Yeah, he deserved it. He deserved it to some degree, but he's still a professional coach who knows what he's doing. Like, just not to get too technical, but watching that Clips Nets game, like Jordan Farmar came in because Harris got kicked out. And they just ran the same high screen over and over again. And, when you're watching a good defensive team, the big guy always jumps out and chases the point guard toward midcourt, and then that screws it up. And the Clippers were just going under the screen like it was like 1983. And Farmer they'd set the screen, Farmer would dribble into the paint, he'd kick it out to somebody, and he looked like Isaiah Thomas in 1987.
Right.
And Vinny Del Negro is just standing there with his terrible suit on, just watching it. And, I mean, that's all I needed to see from him.
That's disappointing.
It was like watching Doc Rivers pre-Thibodeau.
So he is who we think he is?
Yeah, he is who we think he is. I mean, if you're a 2010 NBA team and your big guy isn't jumping out to defend the high screen, then I have no use for you as a coach. It's just embarrassing. It's like we know how to defend we know how to defend that play now, and if you're not defending it correctly, then you don't care.
You know, I having watched a lot of these Washington Wizards, I have a little bit of a newfound understanding / respect for what the coaches are up against.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you get talented guys athletically, somebody like JaVale McGee, who just doesn't understand the fundamentals of the game. So I'm not sure, you know, I give Vinny a little bit of wiggle room maybe.
Okay, but at least know what to do on a high screen, Vinny.
Well, he can't do it. I think he does know what to do. He himself isn't out on the court.
Yeah, true.
That's the point that I'm making.
We got to go. We got to do another podcast. Joe House, thank you.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
That concludes another episode of the BS Report, and we leave you with this final thought. Subway Restaurants is cheering on Jared. As if losing almost 250 pounds wasn't enough, Jared has run 552 miles training for the 2010 ING New York City Marathon. He fuels his training with the low-fat Subway Club. So now, to celebrate this landmark achievement, the Subway Club is the newest $5 footlong sub for a limited time, so hurry in. And hey, Jared, what's next? Scaling Everest? Maybe kayaking the Pacific? Subway. Eat fresh.